We are back with another live episode of Bully Ball. I'm Jason Aponte, joined as always by Steph Sanchez. Steph, your hair is looking incredible today. Did you just get a haircut?
I got a haircut like on Thursday or
Nice.
Friday. Yeah.
Nice. Well, happy belated birthday to
Thank
you,
you.
my friend. You're in your Magic Johnson year. The 30s are a glorious time because when you become 30, you realize how dumb you were when you were in your 20s. And every single year that you gain another year when you turn 33, 34, you're your best version of yourself. So I just want to make sure that we
Thanks.
say that. Steph, appreciate you as always. You're a great co-host, a great analyst, but you're a better friend.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. But I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I think you're still doing some some
What?
under 30 activities. No?
Well, let's just keep it football, but I won't. I will not neither confirm nor deny any of those reports per sources. Steph, I'll be honest with you. This preseason game had a little bit of juice to it, and I've spoken
Yep.
to other 49er fans who have said I was glued to this game, especially the ending, like it was a regular season game or like it was like one of a playoff game. And I think, obviously we're not going to bury the lead. I think the excitement was surrounding Trey Lance. And I kind of wanted to start this by saying that I think because we live in the section of 49ers Twitter, we start to believe that all of the unfair and obviously like mind-boggling discourse around him is what many 49er fans believe. But if you listen to the ovation in the crowd and you look at the way that the team was responding to him, 49ers Twitter is probably a speck of the 49ers fan base. And
Mm-hmm.
the rational, touching grass, thinking fans actually pull for all the quarterbacks. And I thought that was really, really cool, Steph. Like I thought that was really cool to hear the ovation when Trey Lance got out there. And I think that because we're stuck in this little section of the fandom, which is on a social media platform, that it speaks for the entire fan base. And I don't think that that's true at all.
No, it isn't. And in reality, even on Twitter, there's maybe only like 4 or 5 people who dislike Trey Lance, and they make
Four
that
or
very
five?
clear. But they're okay. Maybe there's slightly more. I've only seen or interacted with about 4 or 5 of them. Maybe you're in another pocket of 49ers
Well,
Twitter, but
here's the thing, Steph, is all right, when we get the film, right? Like we break it down and we post the clips.
yeah.
Literally, objectively, I said this is exactly what you want to see from Trey Lance, looking left to right and then letting it rip. There are people in the comments, 30 other quarterbacks can make that play. Oh my God, what are you
Oh, I
impressed
know.
by? Yeah, there is objectivity is now met with just straight up anger. And that's what I think I kind of mean. Like it's not even, it's always from a faceless account. It's always from someone who never has their face up, anything like that. It doesn't make any sense in any way that the discourse has now forced objectivity to become completely lost. Like you can't even objectively say that was a nice throw by Trey Lance because you're so dug in on your stance and either you just hate the kid or you just want to be right.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw someone compare a Brock Purdy throw to Patrick Mahomes, so
Oh
I think
Christ,
like
man.
the the delusions go both ways. But yeah, I mean, I agree. It's definitely not how the team feels about Lance. It's definitely not how the fans or most of the fans feel about Lance. And I agree. I think it was great to see the ovation that he got, and also the Brandon Ayuk drawing a penalty because he was so excited about the touchdown.
Don't
Like
tell me
that's
the
all.
team's not behind him.
Exactly. So I mean, it's good. I'm not. I never entertained those conspiracy theories anyway. That like, oh, like the teammates don't like him. They didn't stand up for him, so they must hate him. All that. It's just noise at the end of the day.
Right. So let's start from the beginning of this game. Brock Purdy actually played. So I want to make sure that we talk about it since he is going to
Yeah.
be the starter. I think for better or worse, Brock Purdy looked like the guy that we saw at the end of the year. This looked like the offense that we saw at the end of the year. Sans Trent Williams, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey moved right down the field. Debo Samuel looked like 2021. That's great. But while this drive wouldn't make me say, hey, we're all the way back, it was encouraging to see. And if Brock went out and he didn't necessarily throw the ball well, it wouldn't make me panic one way or another. But that looked awfully like the offense that we saw early on. And if Christian McCaffrey was on the field and maybe Ty Davis Price could block someone, possibly they would have been able to score a touchdown.
Yeah, I really would have liked that drive to end in a touchdown. I think it would have just capped off that drive perfectly because it was a pretty well executed drive, and it did look exactly like the 49ers did at the end of last season, and that is that they were missing some of the starters as well, right? So I think it was great to see Brock Purdy out there. And again, don't let the internet have you believe things that just aren't true. Like, I feel like the internet was telling us to panic about Brock Purdy because he's throwing interceptions in practice. Like, come on. Like, he's the same guy. And it is exactly what I expected to see out of Brock. He's going to be the starter of this team. He looks like he should be the starter of this team. And it was just people who are very loud on Twitter who will have you believe something kind of different. It's like, oh, like, is Brock Purdy taking a step back because of his surgery? Like, I don't know. No, it's because you listen too much to like what people have to say on the internet, and sometimes you just need. I just simply feel like people forgot how well Brock Purdy executed the offense to end the season last year.
Well, and my thing is this: I think a lot of people confused, let's just say, hesitance due to the injury and everything. Like, it's okay to be conservative. And it's also good to not just expect the young man to just be right back to where he was, where they were scoring 30 points a game at the end of the season. I think that that's fair. In the same breath, while you can feel that, you don't feel that the young man's going to fail. And again, I will go back to this point over and over, regardless of who the quarterback is. Kyle Shanahan is going to have guys running wide open all the time, and it's just all about executing. And there was some discourse about, well, why didn't he call this play for Trey Lance? He absolutely did on their touchdown drive. Like, I want to implore people, can we watch the football games? Can we actually watch the games? Stop tweeting, stop Xing, whatever it is. I don't just please let's watch the damn games.
The difference is one quarterback making it look easy because he's hitting that throw when he's supposed to, and the timing is perfect, versus a quarterback who is still, getting into that rhythm, who is still figuring out the timing, who is still gaining experience. Sometimes it looks difficult when Trey Lance executes the exact same play, but make no mistake, Kyle Shanahan is calling the same plays. Literally the first play of last week's game, where Trey Lance, was that the one where Trey Lance took a sack? I just know there was a layup in there for him, and he didn't take it because he was indecisive. That's the difference. And everyone goes to blame Kyle Shanahan because that's the low-hanging fruit always. Look, Kyle Shanahan gives layups to all his quarterbacks, and that's why he gets frustrated when it isn't executed. So that's the difference, okay? It isn't because Kyle Shanahan is sabotaging one quarterback over the others. Stop it with that.
And by the way, guys, that throw that was just up on the screen right here, where Brock Purdy is booting, to the left, and they have someone else going the other way, but he decides not to take it to Ayuk and throw it to Juwan Jennings. I wanted to say Brandon Jennings. I don't know why basketball just came into my mind. Trey Lance did that in Houston against Houston, but hey, only when Brock does it matter. And by the way, I've got a little rant coming about Trey Lance's performance and against third and fourth stringers, because I think a lot of you forgot. And if you didn't forget, I'm going to remind you. But kind of think it's funny that, look, that's exactly the right throw, and he made a great throw. But when Trey Lance makes it, it was just against Houston. But I just literally watched Brian Baldinger throw up a breakdown about that throw, which was the second, to the second read. And he's like, look at this throw. I mean, it's just, and I'm just like, all right, bro, like, maybe give some credit to the young man that actually did it too. The younger guy that actually did it last year in a game that mattered too. So the objectivity has been lost. Bottom line, Brock Purdy's back. I think we feel good, and he's going to play a lot on Friday. Thank God this game's on Friday, so I can have like my Saturday and Sunday open to like do stuff. That's the best part about this. But Brock Purdy's fine. I think that's great. Let's move on to Sam Darnold though. maybe this isn't as much about Sam Darnold, maybe than it is the coverage of it. And our buddy Rob, I loved what he said about Tim Ryan because, man, all right, look, I know I catch a lot of heat for being a 49ers fan from the East Coast, and you can't be a 49ers fan because you're not from here. You don't know what's going on. How dare you say something about Greg Papa and Tim Ryan? They were absolutely glazing every little thing that Sam Darnold did. And this is the first time that I've been able to watch because guess what? I don't have to watch them because I don't live there. I watch Fox, I watch CBS, I watch Monday Night Football, I watch Thursday Night Football. There's always someone else that's on. I don't have to listen to them. But Sam Darnold throws a touchdown pass to Coletto. Oh my God, what a read. Did you see that? How quickly he got out the butt? It's a throw to the fucking flat. Now, conversely, Trey Lance throws the same sort of pass, and it's, it kind of turned down a throw there. Steph, please, I mean, you're from Cali. Can you please give me some insight as to why I should give a damn what these guys are talking about when it was literally the same exact throw? And then Tim Ryan says Sam Darnold played under Pete Carroll at USC. In what world, what multiverse? My God, look, I know I catch a lot of heat. You don't know the vibes. You're not from here. You don't get it. No. I don't want to get it. I don't want to get it. Please, trust me, I don't want to get it. Steph, please give me a little bit of insight since you're from the Bay and you're from out there.
I feel like I moved like just as, Greg Papa was getting his, spot as the announcer. But yeah, there's some bad in there, and there's definitely some biases in there, which I don't like. I don't like that when I'm watching like a game. Can we just leave the biases at the door? Leave those at home. I don't want to hear it. It's just it is annoying. It is pretty clear that they like Sam Darnold, and I know Papa. I've heard some of the radio interviews he's done talking about Darnold. It's like, again, people wanting to confirm their priors. These guys are no better than us on Twitter trying to confirm their priors, right? So, but I don't want to hear that from commentators and national media guys either. That's a whole nother topic right there. But, I just wish like there would be more objectivity in it's football. You're literally calling football plays. Like, call it how it is. It like, can we do that? So yeah, it is annoying, but I tune them out most of the game anyway, so it doesn't bother me too much. But when I hear about it, yes, it is annoying.
I'm pretty excited that I don't have to ever listen to them. Like, that's when preseason's over, it's done. So I'm good. We go back to Fox, and it could be anybody. We get to listen to Greg Olsen, Kevin Burkhardt, or anybody. And as much as people crap on Joe Buck, I'll take Joe Buck and Troy Aikman 8,000 times out of 8,000 times. There's no way you're gonna convince me any different. But as far as Sam Darnold, same kind of thing that we've seen, some good, some bad. Nothing moved me. Nothing moved me from what I saw. Nothing in that game said, oh my God, look at him. He's progressing. 55 starts, 55 interceptions. That's one per game if you guys are good at math. I know who Sam Darnold is. I don't care. It frustrated me before this game because there was an article that Matt Mayoko put out that Trey Lance was going to play less and Sam Darnold was going to get more. Nothing like evaluating the guy who has head and shoulders more starts than anybody in this quarterback room and making sure that you get a good look at him, because you have to get a good look at the guy who has 55 starts, not the guy that, hasn't really had any reps, that you invested the number 3 overall pick in. It's very smart to make sure that you get more tape on a guy who's put out 55 games of out there to make sure that you figured it out. So it's just, I still don't understand that, but okay, cool. We're done with Sam Darnold. Now let's talk about Trey Lance.
Could it be, Jay, that the 49ers are showcasing, Sam Darnold? Because when Trey Lance played more, that's what I was told, that it was because and when Trey Lance started first in the previous preseason game, I was told it was because they wanted to showcase him. And yeah, of course, they want him to start to make him look good. So maybe in this case, like, Sam Darnold is being showcased. I didn't hear one person say that about Sam Darnold, by the way, but that is the difference in what people say about either quarterback, even though they pretty much have the same situation, and just the way people talk about him is different. But anyway, I totally agree with you on Sam Darnold. throughout camp, preseason, I've been saying this. There hasn't been anything that's blown me away about Sam Darnold. He had that one throw to Ronnie Bell in the previous game. Yeah, it was fine. It was okay. But overall, it's pretty mid, like what Sam Darnold has put out there. And I've said it too. I think that Sam Darnold, I fear that the team probably thinks he's a safer option just because his floor is a little higher. But I think Trey Lance has shown that his ceiling could be much higher as well. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to what the 49ers prefer in their QB2. What are you giggling about over there?
Oh, because I'm about to cook.
Okay. Let's
Steve
go.
Choi says, we're lacking objectivity on Sam Darnold. Well, let's subjectively look at this. Subjectively look at it. Steve Choi, nice to see you, buddy. I'm glad you're watching. Hope you're having a great morning. 55 games, 55 interceptions, 35 fumbles. Objectively, Sam Darnold has been basura. If you don't know Spanish, that means garbage. Don't talk about objectivity when he has the longest track record of any of the quarterbacks. Literally 55 starts. Purdy has 8. Trey Lance has 4. Brandon Allen has 3. He is quadrupling their starts. When someone is trying to tell you who they are, let them. Sam Darnold is not good, Steve Choi. Enjoy your objectivity. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you have a great morning, and I hope that you learned something today. That's all. That's complete objectivity. It's not me. I didn't throw the interceptions. I didn't fumble the ball. I didn't see ghosts. He did. And there's no way that because now he plays for the San Francisco 49ers that I am going to now say, well, he's a Niner now. Maybe he might be good. The man has not been good. Objectively, not subjectively, objectively. Have a great day, Steve. Let's keep rolling. Steph, when it comes to Trey Lance, objectively, he had about 4 or 5 turnover-worthy throws early on, including the interception. It just looked bad early on. And there was a little bit of feeling when Trey Lance was out there that he's losing his confidence. And like what Steve Young said on KMBR, hey, the young man feels like he has to be perfect every single time. That's not fair. That's not fair in any sort of job, anything. Now, is it fair? No. Is it really what's going on? It is. But Trey Lance had some throws that you're just like, man, is he going to bounce back? Right? Okay. He did bounce back. And sure enough, Steph, the funny part about all this is when you get reps and when he gets into a rhythm, oh, wow, look how comfortable he starts to get. So I want you to give your take on what you saw from Trey Lance, because I do have thoughts, because there's a lot of pushback on what we saw at the end of the game that has a lot of 49er fans excited because there were those flashes that they wanted to see.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I counted 4 turnover-worthy plays, and that is including the interception that he threw on the screen pass. So there is some still bad mixed in with the good with Lance. I think overall, though, you do see some of that comfort settling in, more reps that he gets. And I think that's what's encouraging. And I think also what was encouraging was the fact that he had to go out there and operate a game scoring drive towards the end of the game, help get you the lead twice. Pretty much he had to do that. And he executed those drives pretty well. So I think that said a lot too about how he can handle situational football, because I think that's another thing that he hasn't really gotten the opportunity to show us, one in the games that he's been in and also in practice. Like, you're not going to really get those opportunities. So I think that was great experience for him. And I believe he said after the game, like every practice, every game, like every rep he gets, he learns something new. And I think we're seeing that in real time, and I'm still critical of the slow starts, because I think at some point you want him to shake that off and you want him to go in and be comfortable from the very start. But at the same time, like, I do know that he is still learning. So, I give him that leeway, but at some point I want to see that change. I also want to see more, accuracy. There's some mistakes that he's still making out there. But overall, again, I think we saw more good than we did the week prior. And like I said, and like you pointed out, some of the throws that he's making, those are high level throws and they're difficult and not every quarterback can make them. So those things are very encouraging and those things flash every time that he steps out there. So you look at the good and you look at the bad and you think, okay, if he just gets more reps, he can cut down on the bad, and that's what you hope. But we won't really know for sure until he gets more reps, which we know time is running out for him to get more reps because we're down to the last preseason game. And what's going to happen after that? He's going to be back in the bench. He's going to be relegated to practice reps and not a lot of them. So hopefully he can do what he can with those limited opportunities. But based on what we've seen so far, I think that he can continue to grow. I mean, we saw the decisiveness improve in this game. I do want to see him, manipulate defenders a little bit more with his eyes. We saw that on the touchdown play to Latu. Yep, that was nice. That was nice. I want to see more of that because I think there were some opportunities for him to do that and on other plays. But overall, a lot of the things that I was critical for him about in the first preseason game, for the most part, he did change that. Time to throw reduced by nearly a second or almost like pretty much a second. So that is a good improvement too. Kyle Shanahan said he wanted to see Trey Lance let it rip. I think we saw him let it rip, multiple times in this game. So hopefully he can just stay consistent and keep doing that going into this third preseason game.
Yeah, I'm not objective, Mr. Confirmation Bias. I mean, you're more mad at me than the guy who throws the ball into linebackers' bellies. I don't know what that has to do with coaches, or I'm talking about Sam Darnold, by the way. I'm not talking about, that has nothing to do with the Jets receivers. Like the Jets receiver didn't throw the ball right into, the belly of a linebacker. The coach didn't say, hey, the play is to throw it to a linebacker. Sam Darnold isn't good, Steve Troy. If you're here to troll, I actually appreciate it. But you really can't. This is the hill. If this is the hill you want to die on, like go for it. But this ain't the hill. JJ, also, when you were talking about yak numbers, kind of funny how this offense is predicated on yak. Jimmy Garoppolo was a product of it. Brock Purdy's a product of it. But now it's a problem that Trey Lance got yak yards in an offense that's literally designed to get yak yards.
It's literally the offense.
Okay. All right, man. Like, are you guys here to really talk? Or are you guys just making stuff up? Because I'm not here to play. And you're not going to win because I have a microphone and you do not. So you will listen to every damn thing I have to say. Okay. With Trey Lance, objectively, there were throws in there that are still concerning. 100%. 100%. And it's more about right now with the things that you wanted to see from him in terms of, like you said, Steph, processing, right? Everything that was said about him in the Raiders game, oh, he's not processing quick enough. Well, he did. And then now let's address the third string quarterback thing. Last season, there was a quarterback who performed very well against third and fourth string players, defenses. And that young man's name was Brock Purdy. But yet, it was, man, Brock looks really good, man. We got to look at him. I mean, but it was never, well, he's going up against third and fourth stringers. If we're talking about confirmation bias, anybody bringing up third or fourth stringers kind of forgot what happened last year with Brock Purdy, because that's exactly what happened and got you excited. So stop letting me cook. Let's have rational conversations. This is too easy. I'm frying right now. I'm baking and I'm chilling too. It's a beautiful day, 11:25 on the East Coast. But last year when Brock Purdy did it against third and fourth stringers, you guys were like, man, I don't know. We might have a guy. Trey Lance does the things that you were complaining about that he wasn't doing, which is processing, holding safeties with his eyes, moving back right, and throwing the football to them. And yet it don't matter. Sounds to me like there's a narrative that you want to perpetuate. Sounds to me like you want to make sure that you're right, but not get it right. That's all. That's it. Objectively, Sam Darnold's been bad for 55 games. There's no way to spin it. There's no way to spin that. Trey Lance has not played. Objectively, Trey Lance did things that you were looking for him to do, which was progress, look down, not stare down reads, not look skittish in the pocket, actually throw the ball when hits were coming. All those things happen. All those things happen objectively. That's it. So for me, it's kind of weird to hear people downplay what Trey Lance did when last year everybody was like, well, Brock's kind of a dude, man. Look what he did against Houston. Look what he did against Minnesota. But that was 34 stringers as well. And I think it goes back to the discussion surrounding Trey Lance, and the discourse has gotten so out of control, that now you're talking out of both sides of your mouth now to try to just find a way. Everybody's going to find a way to be right, like, one way or another. Hey, well, whatever. Trey looked good, but it was just practice. Well, Trey looked good, but it was like third or fourth stringers. I would actually prefer that you say, I don't like Trey Lance and don't want to see him succeed, because that would kind of make me feel better about it. He's been terrible, Steve Troy. He hasn't been bad. He's been terrible. He's been really bad. 55 interceptions. Let's do math. 55 interceptions, 55 games. That's one per game. Now 35 fumbles. Now you do the math on that. Does that scream good quarterback to you? And if it does, Steve, you might want to watch another sport. Anyway, let's talk about something that I think
we're talking about QB2s, by the way.
Yeah,
we're arguing about backups.
No fan base cares more about their quarterback 2, quarterback 3, or kickers more than San Francisco 49ers fan base. But
Sam Darnold isn't starting any games. Hopefully,
let me ask you this question. Isn't the secondary now turning into probably the most interesting thing going forward right now? So the game starts out, Ambry Thomas starts outside, who actually really started really well in that Raiders game. Diamador Lenore kicks inside. And doesn't this now feel like it's an evolving situation here now? And it's something that we kind of took for granted. Demo outside, Mooney outside, Isaiah Oliver inside because of the way Steve Wilkes was talking. But now doesn't it feel like this last preseason game is really up for grabs when it comes to like the three like cornerback spots?
Yeah, it does. And I think what kind of initiated that was Isaiah Oliver underperforming to his expectations, right, when they signed him in free agency. So that has opened the door for some other guys to emerge. And both of those guys, Ambry Thomas, Samuel Womack, have stepped up. So you get both of those things together, and you're going to have this flexibility of moving guys around and seeing what you have in these guys. And I think it's a great situation. And because I think what Steve Wilkes is going to want to do, he's going to want to move guys around based on the matchup. And he even mentioned, he was talking about Isaiah Oliver and how like he still thinks that, sorry if I'm misquoting, but he said something like he still thinks that Oliver can play some nickel based on the matchup. So it's going to be all dependent on who they're going up against and which player on their secondary matches up better with who they have. So I think that's great too, because it gives you options. And Isaiah Oliver being depth, I think he'll eventually, get his head back in the game. Clearly right now it isn't, but that's fine as depth and Ambry Thomas and Womack stepping up. That's great. And if you could get your 3 best guys on the field at the same time, that is a great situation for the 49ers. And we've kind of seen the 49ers do that with their linebacker group, how they have 3 really good guys. And right now we're seeing like Jalen Graham maybe potentially sneaking into that as well. But yeah, having those options, having that depth and guys stepping up in these moments has been huge for being able to see what you have. And so I think as the season goes on, we probably do see some of those guys getting mixed in there, depending on who they're playing.
Yeah, and when you look at the way that this game started, right, like especially coming off the Raiders game, Ambry Thomas seemed like he was gaining steam. Didn't have the best game, though, Steph. Did not have the best game. I believe that he was dinged by PFF for his coverage grade. I think it was 25 is what he got. And that is based on the 150-yard grab where he jumped on the double move, and he had a penalty as well. So, honestly, it's still evolving and it's still going. I think the bigger concern, and I kind of pointed this out, is with Isaiah Oliver and his missed tackle numbers increasing. The percentage increased every single year since 2019. Now, there's some context that needs to be thrown onto that. And what the context is the amount of snaps. But I did think it was a little bit startling because it is right there for everybody to look at. And while he's been hailed as a guy who, is great in run defense and is just like a great run defender. Here are the numbers. 2019, Oliver took 927 snaps, 11.3 missed tackle rate. 2020, he took 831 snaps, 11.8% missed tackles. 2021, 15.4% missed tackle rate on 161 snaps. Obviously, he got injured, so it's 161 snaps. And 2022, 17% missed tackle rate on 349 snaps. Every year, it has increased. Every year, it has increased. Now, Ambry Thomas didn't have the best game, but I do think, and I want to throw this out there as a hypothetical. In regular base defense, when you have 3 linebackers on the field, you have 2 corners, 2 safeties. It could be Lenoir and Ward starting right away. But when you do get into those nickel situations when you have to bring a nickel on, what are the chances that Diamador Lenoir kicks inside and then Ambry Thomas goes outside for those plays? Because then you only have him on the field for a certain amount of plays and you're able to at least shade somebody there. Because if Demo kicks inside, Demo's a top end slot guy, and he can cover tight ends, wide receivers, everything. Steph, would you ever see Steve Wilks maybe employing this kind of strategy when it comes to these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he wants to move guys around because I think he also wants to bring an element of you don't know who you're going to be going up against on any given play, right? So I think there's a little bit of chess playing for Wilkes, and so again, like to have these group of guys and more than 3 of them being good enough to potentially, go play outside or inside, I think that gives them a lot of options. So yeah, I could see it. And I think for Ambry, like that would be a great chance for him to, grow his confidence too, as long as he's earned it. And, based on everything that's been said about Ambry, it sounds like he is earning it right now. So yeah, I mean, Lenoir, I wasn't a huge fan of Lenoir being on the inside just because he played so well on the outside, but he did well in this past game playing inside. So I think that, yeah, I mean, it gives him options. So he's just as good at nickel, and that's a tough spot to cover in the first place. So if he can hold that down, again, it just gives you options. And look, while we're on the subject of the secondary, I would kind of like for Quantrez Knight to get a look and possibly make this 53 too. It's going to be tough because there's a lot of guys, competing.
They may try to sneak him on the PS, I think, though, right? Don't you
But
think?
yeah, because there's so many guys like ahead of him. But Quantrez Knight, what I love about him is that he gives you so much positional versatility, and that is going to come in handy. And if he continues to improve, again, like we're talking about the 49ers, like and Wilkes wanting to play different guys in different spots for different scenarios, like Quantrez Knight is like the perfect guy to be able to do that. And that's kind of what they had with Jimmy Ward last season, right? Where they were putting Jimmy Ward wherever because he could play so many spots. I'm not saying Quantrez Knight is at that level yet. I'm just saying from the positional versatility standpoint, he could give you that. And hopefully he can continue to improve. And hopefully we see him on the field sooner than later.
Yeah, and again, Steve Wilks is a DB guy. I think we voiced concerns in the offseason about like, hey, what's going to happen if Diamador Lenoir or Ward misses time? I don't know how it's going to go, but Ambry Thomas's development in games has been such a surprise and such a good thing for this secondary, especially while we're waiting for Nick Bosa to sign and panic is starting to set in. Steph, do you have any inside info like of how this is going? I mean, he's in New York right now. Do you want me to go? Do you want me to like leave now? Do you want me to go like link with him and go find out? Like I can go right over. I'll be over there in like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So just go do that.
You know exactly like what building he's in and everything.
Yeah. Listen, man. It's New York. Streets are talking. I'll find a way, man.
No, yeah. So he's in New York, and I guess the notable thing about that is his agent, is based in New York. Yes. So they're talking clearly, and I don't know. Does that mean something's gonna happen soon? I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see. Maybe Nick's like, oh, here we go again. Like you're not getting this done. I got to step in real quick. So. Hopefully that's what it is, and hopefully something gets done soon because we are getting real close to like the start of the season, 3rd preseason game. Nick would obviously not even play in the preseason, but still, you would want to have him back at least a week before week 1 to get acclimated to the team. Has he even met Steve Wilks yet? Like, that's my question. Like he hasn't learned these new wrinkles. I would hope they've been in communication, virtually, but as far as being with the guys and learning what they're doing this year, you need to be in the building for that. So hopefully he can join the group here soon.
I was not worried until I saw Matt Mayoko talking with Jennifer Lee Chan, and he said, "How can you not be a little worried now at this point?" And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, hold on. Like, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that, Matt? Like, of all the people, why would you say that?" I still think that this does get done, but you always have to run the risk of, ramping back up, soft tissue injury, things like that. Like, I think that's something that's a little bit lost in it. Look, obviously, Matt Mayoko said the same exact thing. He's never played in the preseason game ever since he's been here. That's fine. But yeah, I think what we're seeing now in football is a little bit of shift and players taking more power and doing things that normally wouldn't be done, especially considering that there's that whole caveat of this being his fifth year option and him being able to not be fined, all that stuff kind of gives him an extra luxury, right? Like he's not someone who's holding out, continuously getting fined, things like that. So I still believe in my heart of hearts it gets done. I just don't know when. But yeah, on August 22nd, I'm not going to sit here and act like fans shouldn't be at least a little concerned or think about it a little bit more, because we've all kind of just brushed it off like, nah, it'll get done. Don't worry about it. It'll be done. I'm not worried about it. It's just, for me, I think you should be thinking about it just a little bit more. Some other good news from this game: no real injuries out of it. Obviously, that's always what you want to hear, always. And the offensive line, the starting offensive line, actually played very well. Cole McKivitz had a very good game, it looked like. They were out there for, I believe, 12 snaps altogether. Sans Trent Williams, obviously, who doesn't need to play. I don't need to see him out there. That's really good. I think everybody's kind of eager to see Colton McKivitz, and he did get a chance. For all the people, well, who's he playing against? It was against the Denver starters, so he actually looked really good, like when it came to that as well too. So that's something that's very good. The running back room now seems like it's going to be replenished a little bit more. Elijah Mitchell was back yesterday at practice. Sounded like he got some glowing reviews for how he's been cutting out. Obviously, we know it's not the talent when it comes to Elijah Mitchell. It's just, injuries. The Ty Davis Price thing, I kind of want to dig in just a little bit more with you and Steph. The glowing reviews from training camp, the improvements, no block, no rock. And the easiest way for you to get thrown off the field or get thrown into the doghouse is to whiff on blocks. You heard Kyle Shanahan say, "I got scared to death. I wanted Brock to get down." TDP, you gotta get a body on that free rusher, man. Like you cannot whiff that bad. I think this is, I don't know so far, but I haven't seen everything that everybody has seen from training camp from him. I don't know. Like we're talking about training camp hype, and it has not translated to the preseason at all for Ty Davis Price. So when Elijah Mitchell gets back, your pecking order is McCaffrey, Mitchell, Mason, and TDP. And he's back to the spot that he was in before he got all these glowing reviews in training camp. By the way, Jordan Mason did an incredible job blocking. He got a huge pass blocking grade from PFF. Jordan Mason is way harder to get, push down on this roster than TDP is at this point.
And I think if I recall, like Jordan Mason, like it took him some time to get, pass pro down as well. And that's why everyone who was clamoring for Jordan Mason to get more snaps early last season, that's why he wasn't really getting on the field, because he still needed to get that down. So hopefully, Jordan Mason can have a little talk with TDP, because yeah, that pass protection needs to be on point if he's going to get snaps in the regular season. So I'm with you. It's CMC, Elijah Mitchell. I don't know. I might put TDP over Jordan Mason on the depth chart, but in a real game situation, I'm putting Jordan Mason ahead of TDP, if that makes sense. Just because, yeah, I mean, the running has been fine, I think, in the preseason. He looks like a better runner than he did last year, and he looked fine in camp, so that has translated to me. But, like, the pass protection is an issue, and like we said, no block, no rock, and that's how it is with this offense. Man, there's some good running back coaching on this team, so I do believe that TDP will eventually, get strong in that aspect. But until he does, he is not going to get snaps in the regular season. And this is again the reason that Elijah Mitchell is ahead of him and Mason in the depth chart, not just because he's a great runner, but because he is a really good pass blocker as well. So yeah, that needs to get squared away. I'm not too worried about it being an issue in the season because again, he's not going to get that opportunity in the regular season to begin with if he's going to be whiffing in the preseason. So CMC, Mitchell, those are going to be the guys that are going to be featured. And I'm cool with that. As long as Elijah Mitchell, like we've been saying, if he can stay healthy, which has been the biggest issue with him. But clearly the 49ers feel good about their depth because they did waive Ronald Awa and they also waived Laybourne. So that tells you they feel good about the guys that they do have on this team. So that's probably who they'll keep on the 53, what we have right now.
Yeah, and again, I think it's more about third round pick, right? Again, here we are, third round pick, and we still don't know what he is at this point. And it's just, what is it about the third round that this continues to be an issue? It's like this seems to be like no man's land. Shout out to Tig though. Tig saved another touchdown. Possibly, if you want to frame it, saved the game. Allowed him to be able to end it, Trey Lance, because he did save the touchdown, and then the clock ran out. Shout out to Tig. He's always hustling. Ronnie Bell. I mean, I think aside from the drops, the drops that lead to interceptions, I mean, what else can you say about this guy? Like, he looks like he is trying to be Deebo Samuel, and you've heard Deebo Samuel say kind of been like a big brother, little brother situation. 49ers have kind of struck gold here, no pun intended, with Ronnie Bell, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. I'm really excited about him. I mean, he just looks natural out there, and he looks like he belongs on this team, just the type of role that you would imagine him having. He's a yak bro already. Like, that's pretty incredible for him to be contributing this early. And I kind of think he might just skip the rookie doghouse right away. I mean, that's crazy to say, but he has definitely stepped up with the injuries to Raven McLeod and now Danny Gray. I mean, he's going to need to step up, right? So I think definitely he has earned himself a spot on the roster. Yes, you do want to see some things cleaned up, like the drops. And I believe he had a fumble as well, right? So those mistakes can be cleaned up. But overall, I'm really impressed by him, and he seems to be every quarterback's best friend on this team. Like, they be looking for him, and they find him open. So I think that tells you too that everyone's really comfortable with him and what he brings to the table when he's on the field. So yeah, like, he's a natural, and he kind of put the team on his back those last two plays that set up the game-winning field goal. So man, yes, he's gonna get some playing time. He might eat into Juwan Jennings' playing time this year, maybe.
It's kind of where I was going with it. Concentrate on the jugs machine. Make sure you keep your eye on that ball a little bit more, young man. But it seems like Ronnie Bell's a natural fit to take over for Juwan Jennings. The one thing that we do know about Juwan Jennings is that he's a dog run blocking. So
Yes.
have I seen that necessarily? I don't know yet. But in terms of like third down clutch, maybe getting a few yards after the catch is kind of what Juwan Jennings is. It feels like with the way Juwan Jennings has kind of progressed with his contract, he still doesn't cost much. Someone's going to throw him some money to maybe give him an increased role. And with the way the 49ers are up against the cap, it certainly feels like the 49ers are preparing to let him walk. And Ronnie Bell could be somebody who fits right in. So it's exciting to see that as well. It really is. So I think that was, again, he's stacking these preseason games. It's going to be hard to make a case to keep him off this roster at this point. But it's exciting with the ball in his hands, man. And I think that's something that was really cool.
Even as a returner.
Yeah. I mean, all right. So we could talk about that. Deshaun Jameson.
Muff.
Yeah. This literally a week after we were singing your praises. It's like this week. It's like, so let's do this. So it doesn't sound like I'm picking on anybody. Let's do special teams as a whole. Special teams was not great. Punt returns, tough. Wisnowski.
Oof.
Oh.
What's Jake Moody out there, man? What's he doing?
Jake Moody, thank you for making the kick. but did you have to make it that close? I just it's so yeah. And Rob puts up, is Richard Hightower still coordinating special teams? No, it's the former Seattle Seahawk who's probably acting like a double agent trying to sabotage the 49ers in the way he's teaching it. No, I'm just joking, obviously. But special teams has to be a bit of a concern, right? Like, it just has to be a bit of a concern, because I know we make a lot of jokes, or I do, about like kickers and stuff like that. But flipping the field, getting advantageous starting points on drives, that's important. That's important. And it's little things like that that can change the way that drives are looked at, right? Like, if you need a big kickoff return and you're able to start at the 40 and you have 30 seconds left, and all you need is like 20 or 30 yards to get into field goal range to win the game, those things add up. They absolutely add up. And when you're turning the ball over on, like, muff punts and things like that, those are backbreakers, because what happens on the next play after Jameson fumbles, touchdown. Those are backbreakers. So Steph, look, not going to overreact. I think we still got a ton of time to figure this out, right? I think Jake Moody's still going to be fine. Because he has to be. But where's your level of concern right now with special teams?
Yeah, I'm pretty concerned, but at the same time, it is preseason, so I don't know how much that has to do with them looking this shaky, because I don't know how much game planning really goes into special teams. Like, I don't know. I would imagine there's some degree of that goes into it. So maybe that aspect of it is because there's no game planning in these preseason games. Maybe that's why. But it is concerning and something that you want to see improve. What's especially concerning to me, though, is because special teams has kind of been always iffy with this team for the last few years. So it's not something that you want to see have regress. Like, I think last year was decent. And, Robbie Gould was great. But, now with everything else, Wishnowsky has looked terrible, quite honestly. So I don't know if he's just trying new things out there and it's just not working for him. But that's concerning to me, because field positioning is huge in the NFL. It often goes unnoticed or underappreciated, but it is huge in the grand scheme of things. So that needs to get cleaned up. Jake Moody, I'm not as, I guess, concerned about him. I think he'll figure it out. I do like that the 49ers made it a point to get him that game-winning field goal, put him in that situation, because he was iced twice in the previous preseason game and he missed both, right? So I think it's just trying to get him in those situations to test him out, see how he's going to do. And he made it happen. He hit that one. So hopefully that's the stepping stone to, continue that and keep his confidence up. But yeah, I think the first, the extra point that he missed was more so like the wind really caught it. And so that'll just come with experience. Oh, don't roll your eyes, Jay. Shut up. But I think
no other kicker missed extra points. I don't want. Oh my God, go. Just go.
The wind, Jay. The wind. You didn't see the wind.
Oh my God. It's windy candlestick all over again. My God.
But he doesn't have a lot of experience at Levi's yet. So I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned because I think he'll figure it out. Okay.
He will.
Have him call Robbie Gould. Like, see what's
Robbie
up
Gould's
with
hanging
that
up the phone.
I think the Broncos might sign him, actually. But
I still got the Cowboys. I still got the Cowboys giving Robbie Gould a call, because
either one. He's gonna get a job. He will.
He
but so I'm not worried about Moody. Okay, I'm not worried that there will be some up and downs. I think, but overall, I think we should be concerned about special teams, just because they have not improved through 2 weeks of the preseason, and you're on your last one before week 1, so they need to get it together. Wishnowsky, whatever you're doing, stop. You need to go opposite George and see if that works. And stop trying to do these fancy punts, because they're not going anywhere, buddy.
No, Moody's gonna be fine. We make a lot of jokes. It's fine. It's still preseason. Like, it doesn't matter when the lights go on and he makes all the kicks. Who cares? Like, if they actually matter. Like, not even joking. Like, at all. Like, I'm being dead serious. But the Wishnowsky thing is frustrating, because it's like, dude, you've been a punter here like for how long? Like, come on, man. Like, shanking punts and putting it up 20 yards. Like, come on, man. That's not worth the draft pick. It never was. But I don't know, man. At this point, like, it's just, again, the use of draft picks, I'm not going to back off the process. It's fine. Jake Moody's going to be fine, but I'm just like, come on, man, just punt the damn ball as far as you can. Boom and onion. Like, what are we doing here at this point? All right.
Aussie. Oi,
Yeah.
oi.
oi. All right. I love bringing that back, actually. So let's pivot a little bit to Friday's game. The Los Angeles Chargers will be playing the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers sound like they're going to be playing their starters a little bit more. I want to ask you this. Do you feel concerned about the defense in any way, even though they don't have Nick Bosa, right? There was a little bit of Russell Wilson doing something that is very annoying, which is like gaining yards with his legs. And again, it's preseason. No need to overreact or anything like that. Where's your level of confidence right now? Because for me, I've kind of put it to a point where I don't think the 49ers need to be the number one defense to win a ton of games. They can still have a regression and be top 5 and win a ton of games because their offense is going to pick up the slack with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is going to be the starter, barring some sort of injury. Nobody else is going to play, and that should be comforting at this point, especially like as much as we like what we saw from Lance, the inconsistencies are not enough for you to deal with, and obviously the other guy's not going to play. So Brock Purdy's going to play, with Christian McCaffrey, with all the weapons, everything, with Kyle Shanahan as a play caller. So maybe if there is a slide on defense, the offense can pick up the slack a little bit. But what's your level of confidence with the defense?
My confidence is still pretty high. Like I'm not really concerned about them. There is some concern with like the depth, just because like when they're all out there, like the second, third string unit, there doesn't seem to be a lot going on there as far as getting into the backfield and creating pressure. So that's where I'm concerned. But at the same time, like I said, with the offensive line, there's not going to be a scenario in which your entire second, third string unit is going to be on the field. Okay. We have starters for that. So that doesn't concern me too much. I think they'll figure it out. Javon Kinlaw, because of his first preseason game, he didn't play the second because of an illness. That concerned me, but he's not a starter either. So, that's a really, minute concern. So I think overall I'm fine. Once Nick Bosa gets back, you see what Javon Hargrave was doing out there. I mean,
say his nickname because it's so cold.
Grave Digger. That's the one thing. Like if that came from Tim Ryan and Papa,
then cool. Yeah, I got
yes, that. That was a good nickname. Grave Digger. Like
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a cold ass nickname.
Yeah, it is. And you see it when he's on there. Like he gets into the backfield. So you add Nick Bosa into that mix, and it's going to be problems because you're going to have to choose which one you're going to double team, and that's just going to open up the other guys. So pick your poison, and I'm excited to see both of those guys next to each other once the season rolls around. But also, like, I'm banking on the secondary being better this year, too. I mean, just with Steve Wilkes in the picture, I think that's going to improve. Not 1 ounce of worry for the linebackers. They're going to be solid. They're going to be good as ever. So you put all of that together and suddenly you're back being one of the best defenses in the league, So, and I agree with you. I think they don't necessarily need to be the best, but I want them to be the best. They brought Hargrave in here to improve. They brought Steve Wilkes in here to improve the secondary. And I think overall, they should be about where they were last year, if not better. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not concerned about them at all. So, yeah.
And Rob has given us the word. Greg Papa and Ryan did not come up with it. It says, when I first got to South Carolina State, my friends called me Grave because of my last name. In my first year on my first sack, I smacked the quarterback. I knocked him back a few yards. When I got back to the sideline, my defensive coordinator called me Grave Digger. It was pretty dope to me. It stuck. So there, we've solved that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I knew that was too good to come from Papa and Tim Ryan.
Thank you so much for that. What I do want to see is there is a little bit more game planning in a dress rehearsal. You're going to start to see, a little bit more when it comes to that. So, again, I think with the level of talent that this team has, I do think that we're kind of discounting losing DeMeco Ryans for Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes is going to be fine, though, by the way. But for me to automatically say that Steve Wilkes is going to be better than DeMeco Ryans is me taking a bit of a leap of faith, as opposed to something that I kind of know. And that's just not because of Steve Wilkes or how I feel about him. It's just because of how highly I regard DeMeco Ryans, who's somebody who, fans wanted to fire after every first half and, would literally turn it on in the second half as well, too. And it's the reason that he got, a head coaching job. So I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it's necessarily so bad or anything like that. The only thing that would concern me just a little, was the Russell Wilson gaining yards and having like the middle of the field wide
Oh yeah,
open for him
I
to
didn't
run.
even
Like,
address that.
yeah, that's
About
kind of
that.
got to slow down.
About that, like, I'm not concerned about that just because it is a preseason game, so you're not going to game plan. And why would you put all of those resources into trying to stop Russell
Well,
Wilson in a preseason game? But also, I mean, yes, it's a concern. They were leaving lanes
gap
open for
integrity.
him.
Just
Yeah,
stay,
but
just
that's
stay in the
something
gap.
that like you would prepare for. You're playing a quarterback that's mobile. You prepare for that in the week. So like they're not doing that for a preseason game. Like what for? Russell Wilson just played how many series? 1 or 2 or so. Like it's not really a big deal. I think they'll clean that up once the season gets going. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard for you to make hard assumptions about preseason. I think there's not too much that we could learn. I think the only things that have really arisen now that we probably didn't know was, the nickel cornerback situation, which seems to be evolving, as we see it go through. It seems fluid. The offensive line seems to be fine. They went up against a stout defensive line like Zach Allen. They have some studs over there in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And Colin McKivitz looked good. That's great. Haven't seen Christian McCaffrey. Not too worried about that. George Kittle, once he gets ramped back up, he was actually practicing yesterday as well too. I think he should be fine. I mean, the important thing is the team's leaving with no injuries. The team doesn't have anything that's really concerning. I think the last little loose end is let's get Nick Bosa in here. Let's get back to work. And let's start cooking because we have to get ready for Pittsburgh, which is a game that I become increasingly more concerned about the more that I talk about the game and I start to watch them because they've got like defensive linemen that are like 4th round rookies that are like behind and they're making incredible moves. Like this is going to be an immediate test for the 49ers right away and Colin McKivitz and this offensive line.
Yeah, it was unfair that they drafted Nick Herbig and he already looks
Did you
great.
see that?
Oh God, that was like a veteran move right there. So yes, I am concerned, and this offensive line does have to be on 10 toes when they play the Steelers week 1. But we already knew that, right? We already knew that was going to be a tough game, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm sure me and Jay will preview that one. But I think overall, yes, this third preseason game to me is important just because this is your I don't know, you're catapulting into the week 1 and the start of the season, and you can't afford to start slow. We keep saying this every year. So this preseason game, treat it like a real game. All right. You saw how hard the Ravens were playing and the Commanders yesterday.
Well, they have a winning streak to uphold.
I know, but that's nice. I like that. Maybe we need to get a streak going for the 49ers preseason streak, even though it doesn't mean anything, but it does help because once week 1 comes, you're like, all right, we've been doing this. Right. So I want to see some of that energy in this third preseason game. I'm excited.
My goodness. Yesterday, I was so close to just betting Ravens money line. And I was like, as soon as I was about to put the bet in, I said, you know what? This feels like the time that they're probably going to lose a game. The one time that I bet on a preseason game, which, by the way, guys, send me that gambling number so I can, make sure I call them because I have to figure out, what the heck's going on. Yeah. But I'm so glad I didn't. And sure enough, our old buddy, 49ers legend, Joey Sly, threw up the L and he hit it for 47. Look at our kickers, finding them anywhere. That's the show, by the way, y'all guys. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to all the channels, hit that notification bell for when we go live. Make sure that you find the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your audio podcasts. Make sure you follow Steph on Twitter at Steph49K. Make sure you follow me on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called at Jason Aponte 2103. I hope you guys have a great week. Friday's the game. That means you get to enjoy Saturday and Sunday with your family. And then, Steph, the week after that, we have football. On Thursday, real football.
Let's go.
Detroit Lions against the Kansas City Chiefs. My life is complete. I didn't realize how much football keeps me in line, out of trouble, and brings structure to my life. But we made it, and we've done it. So,
I'm really loving that meme that people have been putting out where it's like, thank you for saving my life. And it's like, I'm literally a football.
That's literally me. And then the only other one that I like that's better than that is all my problems, all my anxiety, and then it's the guy slapping the thing on and it's like NFL football. That's literally what we're doing right now. But for Steph, for Jason, we're out of here. Peace.